Hi everyone, it is me, Sailor Jupiter, Sailor King Lolita here, and today we're going to do our follow-up film to, Sailor Moon being on a UPN and WB. This time we're going to talk about, our time on USA and cartoon. Now, a lot of folks tend to skip over this, you know. Why? Because a lot of folks might not know that in between 97 YL, Sailor Moon was on USA, but only for a year, you know. And Sailor Moon didn't lose the broadcast deal due to the watch time and looking not being good. The truth is, the USA Folkwork gave Sailor Moon 7:30 Monday through Thursdays. Why not Friday? I don't know. They just did not. And Sailor Moon wasn't the only Deke show that USA would get a deal with. Now, the only grounds to why Sailor Moon lost its was kicked off or lost a broadcast deal with USA was that the new ownership and new leadership had bought the USA Folkwork at that time, and the new ownership and the new leadership felt that drawing shows of any kind, no need that they were from the 4-1 Reichs or Dawnland or whatever, would not fit the Folkwork anymore. And between 98 YL, the USA Action Extreme team, or the Utmost, the Work Utmost team, would be dropped. But Sailor Moon's time on USA is not really talked about that much in the Sailor Moon followership. A lot of folks truly don't even think of its time on USA. And keep in mind, it was the SOS folks that had helped Deke get that deal with USA. And the SOS folks some are hated in the Sailor Moon followership for wanting, for helping getting the Deke one, still on Folkworks at the time. USA would run the first two followings of Sailor Moon, and then after that, Sailor Moon would then go to another Folkwork where it would spend a longer lifetime on Cartoon Folkwork, or Cartoon, or Drawing Show, since Cartoon is most likely a half between a Latinist Italish borrowed word, a Latinist Italish borrowed word. It's not an English word at all. Anyway, this would start from between 98 YL, and it wouldn't really truly come to an end until 2003 YL. And at that time, Cartoon had gotten the rights to the first two followings of Deke, the first two followings of the Deke one, the same way the UPN, WB, and US had gotten the rights to it. But unlike UPN, WB, and USA, Cartoon would also get the rights to the 3-diff, and the 4-diff followings of Sailor Moon. Also, they would get the rights to the 3 films, at least to broadcast them. And a lot of folks out there, this is when they gotten into Sailor Moon. A lot of folks out there, when they talk about watching Sailor Moon, this is the Folkwork that a lot of them ended up seeing Sailor Moon on. Now, Cartoon did give Sailor Moon a good time. 4:30 in the afterdays, which was a good time for that. And I think the watch time was alright. It was good. So, yeah. And the funny thing is, the Cartoon had a longer broadcast deal with Sailor Moon, where UPN and WB only ran it in between 95 YL and dropped it due to bad watch time that was done to their own doing. And unlike USA that had to drop it due to new ownership and leadership, Cartoon holded it for a longer time. And Cartoon may have been the only other folk work next to USA that was willing to give Sailor Moon a good time to broadcast it, and was also willing to give it some on-look as well. Now, a lot of folks over the years have also known that it was to save our sailors, or keep our sailor team once again, who had also helped get Cartoon folk work, or Cartoon to pick up Sailor Moon after USA had to drop it due to a shift of ownership and leadership at the time. And it had a longer broadcast lifetime with it. Between 98 YL to 2003 YL, which is a long time to have a deal with something with Sailor Moon though. And that was mostly it after that. Sailor Moon did not get broadcasted on any other folk work in the 4-1 rights after that. It would not be until 2024 YL that Sailor Moon, the Viz one, would get their broadcast right with Cartoon years later. Now, I know before I end this film, someone's going to bring up, what about YTV? You know, that folk work in the settled land. Well, unless you lived in the settled land, there was no way you could get YTV. So it was hard to know what time YTV put it on. Folks said that YTV had it on at 12 midday, which I guess is kind of a good time, you know. But then once again, I guess it's kind of a good time to have a show on, even though most of the folks you want to watch your show, I don't know, I guess it was alright, even though a lot of children were at Learn at that time. And I think YTV had a longer run with it too. They may have had it from between 95 YL until 2003 YL, and they mostly ran the first two followings of Sailor Moon over and over again until they got the first two followings of Sailor Moon that Deke did, until they got the rights to the Pioneers 3-diff and 4-diff following, as well as the free films. Now, I don't really know that much about YTV beyond that. I know back in the day that YTV did have a broadcasting deal with Folkworks in the 4-1 rights at one time. Yes, they may have done it. But then a new law was made over in the settled land that made it where only settled land Farseer folkwork businesses could only broadcast and have deals to be broadcasted by Moon and Wire givers in the settled land only. You know, the settled land is weird when it comes to their laws of what's settled lander and what's not. So, anyway, at the end of the day, that is mostly all Sailor Moon's broadcast time, at least in North Vinland, for 4-1 Reich settled land, you know, between UPN, WB, USA, Cartoon, YTV. That was about it, you know. So hopefully you like this film. Well, let me know, what did you think about this film? Did you watch Sailor Moon when it was on USA, when it was on Cartoon or YTV in the settled land? I, Sailor Jupiter, Sailor King Rodlita, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.